Pasa Mufasa. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cognitive Discourse podcast. Today I wanted to cover something a little interesting for those, not interesting, but for those who are interested, let me rephrase that, in wanting to do podcast yourself, wanting to do music, recording music, learning how to mix, master, and produce music, and all that fun stuff. Everything you need to do that. You do YouTube videos, whatever it is you want to be, a podcaster, a vlogger, a musician, voice actor, anything like that. If you're not doing research, you may be standing looking at a brick wall being like, how do I get started? We've all been there. And to be honest, don't let the craziness of all this information keep you from doing what it is that you want to do. If you want to be a vlogger, or you want to be a podcaster, or you want to be a reviewer, or you want to be a musician, whatever it is, push for it. And I decided to do this episode to kind of help guide a little bit, just take some of the information that I've learned while doing this stuff and share it with you guys. First off, I just want to say I did learn a lot of this stuff via YouTube, trial and error, but you can get a pretty decent studio setup for not a lot of money. What I will say is that I won't go too much into actual certain products. What I will do is just basically tell you what you're going to need to have that simple setup to get started. So with that being said, first I just want to kind of cover the hardware, and then we'll go into software and all that fun stuff. So hardware-wise, the first thing you're going to want is you're going to want a decent computer. Nowadays, that's actually not really hard to find. If you have the funds to build a PC, do it. If not, any old laptop pretty much that's probably like what, I won't even say, maybe even 5 years old and now newer, would probably do. What you want is you want to make sure your computer has a good amount of RAM. And that's really going to be your main component. You just want to make sure you have good RAM. Try to get like 16 gigs RAM would be super ideal. Because again, you're going to be running a lot of programs, and so you want to make sure your computer can keep up. So yeah, just do that. I'm using a Apple desktop, a Mac. And I only did that just because at the time I had the money, and I was in a guitar store, so I was just like, I'll just take that one. I didn't really put too much thought and effort into the actual computer that I bought. And again, it was kind of one of those things when I was watching videos, people would say, if you're going to go Mac or PC, pick one and really just delve into it, learn it. I knew PC a little bit better than I did Mac, but I was like, hey, why not learn on Mac? Why not? So with that being said, here I am. I have a Mac desktop that I use, and it's been good to me. There was a time it was running a little slow for like 2 weeks. I don't know if it just needed a vacation or what, but it was acting kind of funky, but it bounced back, and I do everything on it. I do the podcast on it. I do all my music on it. I make all my t-shirt designs on it. I do everything that I do within my personal small businesses is done via this computer. So like I said, when you're buying a computer, just looking to make sure you have a good amount of RAM. 16 gigs is ideal. You could make it work with 8, but 16 gigs is kind of ideal. Once you have your computer, like I said, if you have a computer in your home, more than likely that computer can handle what you're going to throw at it. So the other very important piece of equipment that you're going to need that you can actually find fairly affordable when you're starting out is going to be your audio interface. So what your audio interface does is basically what my microphone is plugged into, and what it allows me to record the audio is the audio interface. That's your brain, your nucleus of the whole operation. So I run my guitars through that. I run my my microphone through that. If I had a drum kit that was an acoustic kit and not like the electrical kits that I use, the drum sims that I use. But if I was using a real drum kit, you would definitely not be able to use the one that I have, but you would have a bigger one that you could hook all your drum mics into and do it that way. I could still probably actually use this because I have a mixing board. Mixing board is not an essential thing, by the way. You don't need it. I did use it on the other podcast that I was on, but we did that just because the audio interface that we used didn't have enough plugins for multiple microphones. So we ran it, basically plugged the mics into the mixing board and mixing board into the audio interface. But without getting too technical, if you're a one man operation, or you're doing a home studio and all the instruments are going to be done at separately and not all together, then the audio interface that has just one plugin will work. Now, I will suggest the brand of this one because I do use this one, but I definitely say you do your research, find one that works good for you. But the Focusrite Scarlett, I'm not sponsored, by the way, but I will give them a shout because they've been this particular one that I use has been awesome for me. So the Focusrite Scarlett Solo 2, I believe, is the one that I have. But do your research, look them up. But that's the one that I use. And I have a plugin for not only the microphone, but then I also have another jack for guitars. So I actually do my vocals on a different input from the guitar. So that's great. And if I wanted to do like singer-songwriter guitar type stuff where I'm playing and singing at the same time, it would work. But typically when I record, I have my guitar plugged into the instrument input, and I record all my guitar tracks separately, and then I do my vocal stuff after that. So, but that's the brainchild you're going to need. The reason why I like these is because also in the back, you have your setup to do your monitors, which is going to be the third thing that you're going to need. Now, let me get this out of the way. You do not need monitors. If you can't afford them right now, do not fret. As long as you have the computer and you have your audio interface, those two components you can start doing. Even if you don't have a mic yet, you can start doing your instrumental stuff musically with your guitars and stuff. So the two main key components is your audio interface and your computer. If you have those, you can start doing stuff right away. Like, granted, it's not going to be top tier stuff, but you can at least start. You can get the ball rolling. The monitors, I have friends that use just normal stereo. They just hook up a stereo, old school stereos that have like the 5 CD disc changer and the cassette and FM radio and all that stuff. They literally rig it to where those are their speakers, or just regular computer speakers. The only reason why you won't want monitors is it helps you when you're mixing, because you can get a flat sound, so it helps you to really kind of get precise mixing and stuff. Again, not a huge necessity, but if you have the cash for them, definitely spring for that. And then of course, if you're going to go with the Scarlett interface, that only runs about $100. So it'll give you a little bit more room. Now if you're going to be doing multiple things, like let's say you're going to do a podcast with a group of friends and stuff, you're going to want to look at some bigger audio interfaces that have more inputs, and that's going to run a little bit more. But if you're doing a solo thing and you're just starting out, that interface works great. And then, like I said, the money that you saved that you didn't have to put into that audio interface, you can put into your speakers. Now, again, with that, do your own research. There are tons of different brands, and depending on who you talk to, you're going to get tons of opinions on Yamahas and JBLs, and I think there's one called Kicker. There's a bunch of different ones, man. So you're going to get all kinds of opinions, and, well, this one does this one does that, this one's better at this one's better at that. Honestly, man, if you're in a small room that you're doing this stuff in, you don't have to go big. You can get the smaller speakers. You'll lose some of the low end, but if you're in a smaller room, it's really not a huge deal. And then again, I'm still a huge fan of the smaller speakers, because if you feel like it doesn't have enough low end, you can always buy a sub later on down the line. But my personal opinion, the Yamahas are really good, and the JBLs are really good. So those are two maybe look into. I've had both, and I've loved both. So your best bet would be go to a guitar store, go to where their monitors are at, and try them out. Just turn the volume. A lot of times they'll have setups for them where they'll play music out of them, so you can like press the try me buttons, and just turn them up, check them out, push them to their limit, and see which one you like. And of course, if you're a serious buyer, a lot of times the employees won't even say nothing. You can get some advice from them. Now, they're not all, they may not all be accurate, but I mean, that's why I always tell people, do your own research before going in, so you know some talking points, so you also can tell if the guy knows what he's talking about or if he's just trying to get a quick sell. But my suggestion is go in, try them out, and go from there. Now, once you have them in your possession, definitely before you start recording and trying to mix and stuff on them, get a good at least 15 hours of play on them. So while you're at work, play some music through them, like go to YouTube or Spotify or something and put your player on, leave the volume fairly high, and just get some play out of it, just to break the speakers in. You don't have to do it, but it's just a suggestion. But yeah, once you have those, so you have three main components. You have your computer, you have an interface, and you have monitors. So what's the next thing you need? Well, when it comes to hardware, really, you're going to need your guitars, but if you're a musician, you should have those already. So you'll also need to get the cords. When you buy your monitors, make sure that you check with the person at the store that you're buying them from. Make sure that the cables that you need are the right ones, because again, cables are different depending on which monitors you pick. With my Yamahas, when I had the Yamahas, they had more like the guitar jack type of cable that plugged into the back of the speaker that you plug into the speaker. So you're going to plug one into your left, one into your right, and then each one of those cords are going to go into your interface. With the JBLs that I have now, they're more of the I don't even know what you call these cables. Like remember back in the day when you played video games, you had the red, white, and yellow cord that you plugged into the back of your TV. It's like that. So you would have what I loved about these JBLs is that with the Yamahas, I had to buy two separate cords to plug in. With this one, I literally it was one cord, and I split it, and one's a gray and one's a red, and I put one in one back of one of my speakers and put the other one in the back of the other speaker, and then they plugged into the audio interface, and boom, I got sound out of both of them. So if we're talking about ease of setup, the JBLs were way easier. They were more cost efficient. And these were, I got these fairly cheap because also keep an eye on when models change. I got these on discount because it was the last of that year, and then they had redone the model for the new year. So I was able to get them fairly cheap. I think I spent like $125, somewhere between $125 and $150 each on them. So you're looking at about $300 for two speakers, and they're like the smaller ones. I don't remember the precise thing, and I'm not gonna grab it. I saved the boxes, but I'm not worried about that. I don't really want to. I don't want to sway you in any particular direction on gear too much. I'm just letting you know which ones that I bought that were cheap, and just do your research. And definitely, the sound that these speakers make may not be something that you're looking for. So know what you're going in for, and do your own research for that. But I digress. So let's see. You have your interface, you have your computer, you have your monitors, you have your guitars, or if you're just doing podcasts, talking stuff, you're almost ready. The other main component hardware-wise that you're going to need is what I'm talking on. That's the microphone. Now there are great options out there, and you can go fairly cheap on a microphone starting out, and you can get some fairly good quality. With that being said, again, do your own research. But if you want more of a, I guess you could say, quote unquote, company standard of microphone, the SM7B, which is what I use, is a great option. And the company is Shure. Sorry, I had to turn the microphone to check. I couldn't remember what the name was, but Shure microphones. If you watch any podcast, Joe Rogan's a perfect example. The microphones that he uses, that's the one that I have. I believe no. So sorry, I was having an internal dialogue. There's another podcast that I watch called Your Mom's House Podcast, and that's with Tom Segura and his wife, Christina P. They use, I believe those are EV mics. So those are another really good mic. I've actually been around those mics, really good mics. They're very sensitive, which is good. So if you happen to have a guest or yourself talk kind of low, and you don't want to be like right up on the microphone, those pick up sounds very well. Now the SMB, the one that I'm using, I have to be quiet because the wife works in the other room and she's on phones and stuff like that. So I have to kind of bring my voice down a little bit when I talk, because I do talk really loud. My voice tends to carry, makes walls vibrate. That I don't believe, but I've been told by family members that you can hear me from other rooms because the walls vibrate. But anyway, the SM7B works really well for that. Of course, I have to be kind of right up on the mic, but again, it's a very good mic. So if you're willing to put a little bit of money into it, the Shures are kind of the standard, I guess you could say, in the podcast realm. If you want to do like voiceovers or reading audiobooks and stuff like that, it's a great mic to go with. When you actually purchase this one, you get two different types of mic covers. You have this standard long one that you've seen in the Joe Rogan podcast. He's got that one that it flows with the design of the microphone, and then you get a bigger one, a big round one that you can put on there that gives it a little bit more of a muffle for people who are a little bit louder. And then it has controls in the back as well. You can control the dynamic of the pickup as far as I'm guessing like your bass and treble and all that stuff. So it's a great mic, but it also is going to cost you a little bit. I think they're around the $300 to $400 range. So if you don't have that kind of coin, understandable. The EVs, I believe, are a little bit cheaper by like maybe $100. So look into that. But there are other options. I don't know really. I can't really suggest any other microphone like on the cheap end because I've never actually purchased one. I went straight for the SM7B right out the gate. But for those of you who want to buy a little bit cheaper for now until the investment starts to show a little bit, and then you want to invest a little bit more, go for it. But definitely do your research. YouTube's great. There's lots of channels out there that do reviews on this type of stuff that you can find something. You'll find something in your ballpark. You're gonna have to do a little bit of digging. So with that being said, hardware wise, I think you're covered. And like I said, if you end up wanting to do multiple people, multiple microphones at once, multiple guitars at once, stuff like that, then you're going to have to get a bigger interface. Or if you happen to have a mixer on hand, you can use the mixer. The mixer works just fine. You basically plug all your stuff into the mixer, and then from the mixer, plug the mixer into the audio interface. It's a lot of trial and error. So just, you'll figure it out. That's the way we used to do it at the old podcast that I was on. I don't have to do that now because it's just me. But if I ever had a guest, I do have my mixer set aside. That way I can bust that bad boy out and do it. And you can find mixers fairly cheap too. So like I said, do your research. If you can find an audio interface and a mixer, and price wise, those are still cheaper than buying a bigger audio interface with more plugins, then go with that. whatever is going to fit you. There's no right or wrong way to really do this. It's going to be what's in your budget and what your purpose is for using these things. So your hardware is out of the way. Now we want to talk about software. Software wise, there are so many tools out there to help you. But the main software that you're going to need, especially if you're looking to do podcasting, looking to do vlogging, looking to do all that stuff, and you want to capture decent audio, mainly podcasting, you're going to need a DAW. So DAW. Some people call it DAW or call it a DAW. And that's going to be your source of where you do your recordings, where you do your mixings and masterings, and then you're going to render the file and turn it into a wave or an MP3. So without getting too technical, a DAW, that's what that is. So to give you an example, what a DAW is you've probably heard of Pro Tools. That's the industry standard. Pro Tools is what every pop musician, probably mostly every musician uses and stuff like that. So to give you an idea, Pro Tools, Cubase, those are platforms that people use. Those are DAWs that people use to do all their recording, mixing, and mastering. But there's a free one out there, and it's user friendly. And that one is called Reaper. You can download Reaper, whether you have a Mac or a PC. You can just Google Reaper. It take you to their site, and you can download it for free. It can continue to be free, but I definitely suggest that if you like this program, it only costs like I think $65, $70. Just pay for the licensing. Because you can still, it's technically free. So the way that's going to work is every time you open Reaper, you're going to have a message that pops up, and it's going to count down. And there's going to be a button on the bottom. It's going to count from 5 to 0. And once that goes to 0, the button's going to light up so you can actually click it. And it's going to just say still evaluating. So every time you open Reaper, you just wait for that button to light up so you can click it, and you click the still evaluating button, and you can use 100% of Reaper's features. So it technically is a free to use DAW. But again, I'm all for supporting businesses, and these guys, the creators of this DAW, did a great job, and you get really good updates, and it's nice. If you can afford it, please donate to them by just paying a licensing fee. And then, you won't have to deal with that message popping up anymore. That's really the only inconvenience of having the free version to not having the free version that I know of. Yeah, check out Reaper. It's easy. If you're confused about how to use Reaper, again, there's many YouTube videos out there, tutorials showing you how to go about recording, how to set everything up. And then, of course, all the other software that you use, that you're going to use, that you're going to need, can run through Reaper. There's a effects button that you click, and it basically opens the plugins. You pick your plugins, and you're golden. So yeah, maybe down the line I'll make a video or something kind of deep diving into that if you guys are interested in seeing that. But for right now, like, really, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there. Like, just do your homework. If this is something you're really passionate and interested in doing, you're gonna have to do some legwork. I'm just here to kind of help you guys out, because the equipment side of things can get a little confusing. So with that being said, use Reaper as your DAW, and then for you musicians out there, or you podcasters that were like, I write all the music for these podcasts. So the intro music you hear, the outro music you hear, any music that you hear, background noise that you hear, that's all me doing it. So with that being said, you could go old school, but we're doing a budget here, right? So we're doing it because we're either in a tight location, small location, or money's tight and we don't have the means to make a legit soundproof studio. So with that, you're going to want to get some guitar sims. There's a bunch out there. Again, another thing, research. There's a bunch of free ones out there. I know a lot of my friends use, I think it's called Easy Mix, which has a lot of like amp sims in it. But if you're looking to pay some money, you got a little money on that, Line 6's Helix Native is another great one. That's the one that I use. It has a bunch of guitar tones in it, a bunch of bass tones, a lot of cool tones that you can use for your voice to like add different vibes to your voice. And you can actually use a lot of the presets that they already have, or you can make your own sounds. You can pick your amp, your cab, you can pick your amplifier, you can pick the head, you can pick the microphones that you're using, you can put where on the amp you want the microphone, the positioning, you can pick how the size of the room, and do all that stuff. It's all super awesome, but it is going to cost you pretty penny. It's about $400 and something for the Helix Native software. They also make a pedal that I think is more in the $1,000 range, so if you're like a live musician, you can take all those presets that you've made, and you can put them onto the actual pedal. So when you're playing the shows, everything that you recorded on your said album, those same guitar tones can be in your live performances as well. And again, those used to be, people used to shit on them a lot back in the day. Guitar sims have come a long way, man. A lot of people are using this stuff now. So, like I said, look into it. There are a lot of free ones out there that you can use. There's a lot that have trial offers as well. I believe Helix also lets you try for like 10 days, so you can experiment with it and see if you like it. But like I said, again, YouTube, man, go there, check out all of them. Check out Helix Native. Look up like I said, I think it's called Easy Mix. Check out GarageBand. Check out just type in guitar sims and top free guitar sims. I don't know, just type in those type of things and see what comes up. But like I said, I use Helix Native. There's a bunch of free ones out there. Find the one that fits you, and then now your guitars are good. So basically when you plug your guitar into your audio interface, you're just going to get a clean signal. So you're just going to hear just the guitar. Like it's just like if it was just clean, like those guitar sims, when you put those on, that's what's going to give you your guitar life. It's going to give it the distortion, and you can fuck with the mids and the trebles and the bass, and you can fuck with the distortion and the gain and overdrive, or you can do all that stuff. You can give it a chorus fill, you can give it a room fill. Now, with that being said, what I like about these guitar sims is also when it gets into the mixing side of things, it makes mixing a lot easier. So if you're doing it with an actual real amp, with a microphone and in a room, and you have to take all that stuff into account, so that when it comes to the mixing process, it's a lot harder. With these sims, it makes it a lot easier because these guitar tones are just naturally sound good because they're sims. So the mixing process isn't as hard. And again, I would say, do your research when it comes to learning how to mix and master. I'm still learning that myself, so my mixes aren't like the best. So I don't like to talk too much about, like, I don't like to talk like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. That I'm still learning. So, just keep that in mind. One of the things I did forget, I just remembered right now, is hardware-wise, you're also going to want some good headphones. When I'm mixing and stuff, you want to bounce back from headphones to monitors to headphones, because you're going to have two different sounds from both of those. You're going to get two different experiences. So get yourself, invest. If you don't spend the money on monitors right away, spend the money on the headphones. Get some really good fucking headphones. Again, if you want to cut costs on the microphone, that's fine too. Just get really good fucking headphones. And again, go to a guitar store, check out their headphones, and try them on. I won't suggest a brand just because everybody's different. You want to find something that's not only comfortable on your head, but something that's going to, you may want closed off, you may want opened off. It all depends on what you're looking for. Mine are more closed off, so I don't hear outside noise. But you may not want that. So again, go in, research. So kind of got off topic as far as software goes, but I can't believe I forgot that as hardware because I'm wearing freaking headphones on my head right now. Anyway, so hardware, you got your computer, your monitors, your headphones, your microphone, your audio interface. And software wise, we've already talked about the DAW, which is what you're going to be recording everything into. We've talked about the guitar simulators, and now we're going to talk about drums. So again, drum simulators have come a long fucking way from sounding less like a computer and more realistic. Now at this point they don't sound like acoustic drums. To the trained ear, they can definitely tell the difference. To the average listener, they're gonna have no fucking clue. So just keep that in mind. Plus, there's so many ways to trick the ear to make the drums sound so legit that just drum sims is the way to go right now. And again, we're on a budget, small room. Trying to record acoustic drums on a home setup is not easy. They're big, they're bulky. You need microphones for the snare drum, for the toms. You need overheads. You need a bass or a kick microphone, like floor toms, and it becomes it's a lot. So with that being said, the sim drums are a godsend. They really make things simple, make it easy. Like I said, some people may not agree with that, but fuck it. Do what you got to do. Make it work. I use Superior Drummer. Again, there are a bunch of different ones to look into. Do your own research because Superior Drummer is expensive. And again, if you have a PC, it's much easier to torrent. Not that I tell people to do that. I definitely am all for supporting businesses, but if you want to do that, I guess just don't tell nobody. I don't endorse that at all, but I have a Mac. Even if I knew how to torrent, I wouldn't, but I think it's a lot harder to do it on Mac. So if you're a torrent guy, PC may be more your realm. There may be Mac guys out there that know how to do that, but again, it's not my department, so I don't worry about that. But if you want to use Superior Drummer, you're going to be looking at spending about $400 or $500 for the program. But again, like Helix Native, you get a lot for that money. Not only do you get the sim, but you get different types. So you have different kinds of kits that you can fuck with. You can fuck with everything from your snare drum to each tom to your cymbals to the kick drum to your floor toms to where the mics are located to the kind of size of room that you're using. It has a built-in mixer, so you can, let's say you want your snare to have a little more reverb, but you don't want to do the entire kit with reverb. You can put more reverb on the snare drum itself. Like you can isolate everything, and you can tweak everything to your liking. You can pull back on some of the attack and decay on one thing and then push up on the attack or decay on something else. So there's a lot of manipulation that you can do to fit your liking and what you want. Shout out to my buddy Spider, who has been experimenting with this shit for fucking years, and I've seen him grow in quality in his drumming stuff. He did the drums on Day of Reckoning and Point the Finger, which I've released on other episodes. He did the drum work stuff on those, and that was early Spider. Now some of the stuff that he's been recording, when I hear the recordings of those drums, like it's not really a real drum kit. It's not an acoustic kit. It's I believe he uses Superior Drummer, or he might be using a different program. I don't know. I have to ask him. But whatever program he's using, he's put a lot of time into it, and he takes a lot of time to really delve into each drum part and make it sound so thick and so beautiful that, it's almost there. It's almost to the point where you listen to it and you're like, fuck, is that acoustic or is that a drum sim? Like technology's getting there, man. And when you have fuckers like him that know what they're doing, it's just you get man boners for that, like a musical man boner. Like it's great. But yeah, so look into those. Again, YouTube them. There's a lot of different programs out there, and then again, there's a lot of biases to people who are gonna fanboy over particular ones. But look and find which one fits you. I just went with Superior Drummer because of what they had to offer, and at the time when I bought it, it was the top dog. So I got it, and I had already been familiar with it because I had an original setup prior on a PC that I didn't have very long, and I ended up having to sell the computer for financial reasons. And so this is my second time rebuilding. And so I just kind of went back to the stuff that I knew. Helix Native was new to me in this new setup. In the old setup, I used, I think I was using Easy Mix. Or it was a Tune Track program. I don't remember which one it was exactly. No, I take that back. I was using Podfarm. That's what I was using. So I had the audio interface that I had bought was a Line 6, I think it's called a UX2. It wasn't the greatest. The one that I have now is way better, but that one at the time, it came with its own disc that had a guitar sim program on it, and that's what I was using. I downloaded that onto the PC, and I used that one because it came with the audio. And I remember at the time, I think that's why I bought it, because it basically was killing two birds with one stone. I got my audio interface, and I got guitar sims with it. So, yeah, I believe that's what I used. So yeah, and then Superior Drummer I had already had on my PC. So when I bought this new setup, it was Mac friendly as well. So I just stuck with what I knew on that. And then the Helix Native I came across because, again, just doing my own research, and I did the trial, and I had fun with some of the guitar tones that were in it, and I just kind of ran with that. So software-wise, you're covered with your DAW, you're covered with your guitar sims, you're covered with your drum sims, and that's pretty much all you'll need. Even if you have a keyboard set up, you can run it through Helix, and you can get some pretty cool tones out of it. So for you rappers out there, y'all can use Fruity Loops. I used to have it on my PC. I had it on there. I fucked with it a couple times, but I've never really gotten into it. And again, if you're a rapper out there and you're listening to this and you have any other suggestions on that type of software, by all means, let me know, because that's a world that I haven't really dove into. This stuff is more for like actual guitars and stuff, which, again, you can make hip hop music with this stuff too. Superior Drummer and real guitars, and you can pull that off. You know what I mean? So I hope that this was informative enough to help you kind of understand the gear that you're going to need. But once you actually have all this gear, don't let the research stop there. Like, go and look into what it is that you're going to need to know to make these things work for you. Because again, like with the Superior Drummer, there's multiple ways to make it sound like garbage in your mix. So like when you bring your Superior Drummer into your Reaper, look into, and like I said, I may do a video on this if I have to get cameras and shit to set up to do it, but there's a way basically you're going to drag and drop the plugin onto your DAW, and then you're going to want to multi-track it. So you're going to create multiple buses for your drums, and there's an easy way to do it. It'd be hard for me to try to explain via audio, but there is, again, look it up. That's how I learned. I learned it off of YouTube. Like I said, maybe down the line, if enough people show interest in me showing how to record and how I do my version of recording, if enough people show interest, maybe I'll do a video on it. If not, it's like I said, there's the information's out there. There's multiple ways to do things. So don't think that like the way you decide to do it is right or wrong, or there's multiple ways to do it. So it's just all about what's going to fit you, what's going to work for you, and be easy for you, and not overcomplicate things, if that makes sense. But yeah, like, I hope this was informative. If you guys want to talk more about this when I post the episode, like I said, I do have a Facebook group that I post these episodes to have discussions with people. So if you haven't joined our group, it is the Cognitive Discourse Podcast. Just type that in the search bar in Facebook and find our group. Join. And if you're listening to it from there, if you have any input or any insight, any questions, leave it down in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. Like I said, I just felt like this was an episode I should do, because I have had a few friends close to me kind of ask me how to do the setup and all that stuff, and I've shared that, and I figured, why not just make a full episode about it and cover the topic and put it out there for anybody who may have some questions. But at the end of the day, I can only answer so much. At the end of the day, I want people to also go out and do their own research, get the information, and run with it. And I wish you all guys the best. And shit, if you record something, send it my way. I want to hear it. You make a podcast, let me know. Send me a link. I want to check it out. You write music, send me a link. Let me hear it. If you want it shared on here, you write some music and you record it and you like it and you want me to share it, by all means, send it to me. And with that being said, I want to let everybody know, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, any topics, any stories, anything you want to send me, by all means, send it to cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com. Do not add it's just cognitivediscoursepodcast@gmail.com. And send me questions, stories, music, anything you want. And if you want me to share it on the podcast, just let me know. If you want to remain anonymous, just let me know. If you have anything to plug, just let me know. And I'll share it in a future episode. But yeah, man, I had fun doing this. I hope I covered everything. I didn't write anything down. I'm sitting in front of my computer looking at everything that I have here. So hopefully I covered everything. But yeah, good luck and hope you guys have a good time building your studios and enjoy recording. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Have a good weekend and I'll see you later.